4 things I never do as a doctor and why you may reconsider them too. First, I never use metal grill brushes on my grill. Why? The grill bristles can break off and end up stuck in your food. People wouldn't even notice it. They eat the food and next thing you know, they're in the emergency department with a perforated intestine. And this happens way more often than you think. As an alternative, you can literally start to heat up your grill and just take a raw onion and put it on the grill just as it is beginning to heat up, and that should take care of any grime. And if you don't want sticking, use a raw potato. Next, I avoid using Benadril for allergies or anything else. It's often a common ingredient in a lot of sleep aids as well. Let me tell you something, it doesn't actually improve the quality of your sleep, and you get less REM sleep, which is really important for restoration. Also, the side effects of Benadryl go on and on and on, but the thing that I'm most concerned about is the link between Benadryl and dementia. Not to mention, you get short-term memory loss as well, and it causes urinary retention. So if you've ever taken Benadryl and had trouble peeing the next day, that's why. Benadryl crosses the blood-brain barrier, which is why it causes forgetfulness, drowsiness, and in some people, paradoxical awakeness, where they're so jittery they can't even sleep. And parents, never give Benadryl to your kids on an airplane. The last thing you want is for them to have a paradoxical reaction and they're up screaming and wanting to run around and you're stuck on a plane. If you're finding these tips helpful, please support my channel by subscribing. Now, let's continue with the list. Next up, I don't make my bed in the morning. And you guys had so much to say about this in the comments. Now, let me explain. When you make your bed, as soon as you wake up and pop out of bed, it might be easier. However, if you suffer from dust mite allergy, a study showed that making your bed can actually lock the dust mites in and make your allergies worse. Now, it's not just allergies to be concerned about. Overnight, we have skin cells that slough off of us. We have moisture coming from all sorts of places, especially if we are sleeping without any clothes on. There's saliva dripping from your face. There are other bodily fluids. We don't have awareness of our bodily functions while we're sleeping. So if you pop up out of bed, the likelihood is that you're locking in moisture and possibly dirt, virus, and bacteria right into your sheets. And also remember, with that moisture breeds additional growth of things like indoor mold. Now, this isn't to say I get away with the chore of making my bed. I actually really enjoy making my bed. What I'm saying is I get up, I have my morning routine, and then I come back to making my bed after 1 to 2 hours. Another thing that's also important is examining your sheets for any stains and fluffing out the sheets as well as the comforter. Some people will also open up their window shades as soon as they wake up to let natural sunlight hit on their bed and dry it out. And remember, I always wash my sheets at least once a week on the highest heat setting and no pets on the bed. Lastly, I steer clear of melatonin supplements for sleep. Now, you also had a lot of questions and comments about that, so let's get into it. Number 1, in about 10% of the population, you could experience headaches, dizziness, and a foggy feeling in your head from taking melatonin. Well, guess what? I'm one of those 10% of people, so I personally don't tolerate the side effects of melatonin. Number 2, melatonin is an over-the-counter supplement, which means that the amount of melatonin is not regulated by the FDA. My biggest concern are melatonin gummies. With gummies in general, it's really hard to quantify and get accurate amounts of the medication in the gummy form. One study showed that the melatonin amounts in gummies were 400 times the amount that was listed on the label. Another thing about melatonin, the use of melatonin over the last 10 years has risen 500%, and so have accidental ingestions to the emergency department and even the ICU for melatonin overdose, particularly in young children. Now, there also have been studies suggesting that chronic use of melatonin may require monitoring of blood tests. So this is oftentimes something that people don't think about, but you should have your blood glucose levels looked at periodically and your prolactin levels. Prolactin is a sex hormone which can impact menstruation and lead to erectile dysfunction. So it's not to say that you shouldn't take melatonin. However, if you're taking it regularly, you want to make sure that you're being monitored by a healthcare professional. Bottom line, as it relates to melatonin, number one, you want to make sure it's from a supplement company that is reputable and the dosage is consistent with what is stated on the label. And remember, you want to take the lowest possible dose of melatonin that gives you a clinical benefit. So there's no reason to take 3, 5, 10 milligrams of melatonin if 1 milligram of melatonin is what works for you. Second, on the margin, taking melatonin once in a while or taking it for jet lag probably isn't going to harm you. However, remember that 10% of the population does have significant side effects from the medication. What I recommend instead to boost natural melatonin levels is wear an eye mask, because being in pitch black actually increases natural melatonin production and other sleep hormone production. So to recap, the 4 things that I don't use as a doctor: metal curl brushes, Benadril, making my bed as soon as I wake up, and melatonin. So consider some of these tips and see whether or not it improves your health and well-being. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to go ahead and click that subscribe button. See you in the next video.